Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, February the 2nd. So we have a 9-game Wednesday slate to go over, and as always guys, we're going to talk through each one of these 9 games. We're going to break down each team, kind of give my early thoughts, just kind of give my brief thoughts on each team and what stands out from each team, taking a first look at this slate, on Tuesday night. And as we do go through each game, we will bid out an early core. We'll talk about 5 players that specifically stand out to me at first look on both DK and Yahoo. But before we get started with the breakdown, guys, please do hit the like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes. If you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. And if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of this video, PrizePicks. So PrizePicks, a newer DFS site that is mainly focused on player props. So you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections if you have a lean one way or the other. They do already have some projections posted for Wednesday's NBA slate. You can take a look at their board. They have points projections, assists, rebounds, points, rebounds, assists, added up all together. They have 3-pointers made, and they also will add fantasy point projections. They have fantasy point projections too. They usually post those in the morning. If you have access to your own projections, then you can kind of compare those to PrizePicks and have that be the way that you make your decisions, whether you go over or under. But PrizePicks, a newer DFS site. I've been playing on PrizePicks a ton as of late. Really been focusing on there, with my volume and my play every day. I know a lot of you guys have already signed up for PrizePicks, but if you have not yet, you want to check them out, go sign up and use code NOAH. And they will give you a 100% match on your first deposit when you do sign up with my code. And if you guys want my PrizePicks plays every day, the plays that I like, the guys that I have my own money on, I do post all my PrizePicks plays over on Patreon. So if you want to become a Patreon member, you can check that out. It's linked down below in the description. You can get access to all of my updated DFS content, plus my favorite plays on PrizePicks each day that I do offer for Patreon members. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at this Wednesday slate. Start off with the Magic and Pacers game. So looking at Orlando today, Orlando's a team I typically avoid, but man, like after Tuesday's game, it's kind of hard not to look to some of these Orlando guys because they did run a pretty tight rotation, and they did play a lot of their starters big minutes. We saw 35 minutes from Cole Anthony, played really well, had 44 Draftkings points. Wendell Carter Jr. just seems to crush against the Bulls every time they play, and he had another really good game against Chicago on Tuesday, played 34 minutes, had 42 Draftkings points. Franz Wagner played big minutes as well, 33 minutes, 32 DK points from him. Jalen Suggs played big minutes, 33 minutes and 28 DK points. So like if you tell me these guys are going to play 34, 35 minutes, I'd actually have some interest at their price points. The one thing with Orlando, they're not a very good offense. Do they come out here and score 115 points like they did on Tuesday? I don't know, but I think the matchup against the Pacers, the Pacers are not that good of a team right now. They're really injury depleted. I think this game should stay close, and we do get, full minutes from guys like Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter and Wagner. So as tournament plays, I think these guys are viable. I don't know if there's anyone from Orlando that stands out like head and shoulders above the rest, but I think Cole Anthony does offer some upside if this game can stay close. Same could be said for Wendell Carter and Wagner. The rest of Orlando, though, like the bench guys, I wouldn't be going to, I don't think. Mo Bamba's minutes, even though he's been starting, his minutes haven't been that great, so I don't think I'd really be looking there. But I think the top 4 guys, especially the top 3, Anthony, Carter, Wagner, all viable on this slate, in my opinion. And then on the Indiana side, looking at the Pacers, so like I said, the Pacers, they remain really injury depleted. Caris LeVert, kind of the last man standing right now. No Sabonis, no Brogdon, no Turner. I mean, LeVert's usage, it's been good, but he hasn't been that productive. I don't know why. He's still been contributing, though, like in all categories. He's, 9 assists last game, 7 rebounds. The shot attempts have not been as good the last 2 games. Only 10 and 12 shot attempts after, 19 the game before that. Had 21 shot attempts against the Pelicans. LeVert's one of these guys, like, I think he does offer upside. He's been really bad lately. I don't know why. But you would think with all these guys out for the Pacers, like, LeVert's upside is, it should be through the roof. I think with how much he struggled, that kind of makes him more of a riskier option. I think he will be pretty low owned on this slate, so I'm still fine going to LeVert in tournaments if you do want to go there. Isaiah Jackson, I think, still a pretty good play now. Goga Bitadze is out once again for Indiana, along with Sabonis, so I would expect they start Isaiah Jackson at center again. Isaiah Jackson started at center last game with both Goga and Sabonis out, and he played really well. He played 29 minutes, and he was really productive, had 46 Draftkings points, 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks, and a steal as well. Did not pick up any fouls, which was good to see. Isaiah Jackson has really struggled with fouls this year, but in those 29 minutes, he did not pick up a single foul. I think as long as he stays out of foul trouble, we probably get around 30 minutes from Isaiah Jackson again, and he's been a really productive player. He's been a point-per-minute player when he's gotten minutes this year. I mean, he probably projects for like over 30 DraftKings points, which is really good at his price tag. I know the price tag came up a little bit, but I still think Isaiah Jackson looks pretty solid today. I like him quite a bit on both sites. If you want to play him on Yahoo, I think at $18, it was a pretty strong power forward play over on Yahoo as well. It is worth mentioning that O'Shea Brissett was out last game and he's questionable. He has a chance to play today. I think if O'Shea Brissett plays, that maybe hurts Jackson a little bit, but I don't think it hurts him enough to where he'd be out of play. I think we'd still do get like high 20s minutes from Jackson. Could get into the 30s again if he does play really well. But I did at least want to mention that since Brissett was out last game, but maybe could play today. The rest of Indiana, though, guys like Duarte and Holiday and Torrey Craig, just not that excited about. I think really Isaiah Jackson's the guy that stands out most from the Pacers, and I'm fine going to LeVert as well as a tournament option. We can move on to the next game, Washington and Philadelphia. So Washington, we had a lot of interest in Washington on Tuesday's slate with Bradley Beal out. Bradley Beal is going to be out once again, so guys like Kuzma and Dinwiddie I think are still pretty good plays. Kuzma was really good in Tuesday's game against Milwaukee. Played 35 minutes, had 51 DraftKings points. I mean, Kuzma, he's been really good this year. He's been really productive on a point-per-minute basis. He's been scoring a ton. He's been rebounding really well. His upside without Bradley Beal is much higher. We've seen Kuzma have really good games whenever Beal has missed this season. I think Kuzma's a pretty good play once again. His price tag really didn't move that much at all, so I'm fine going right back to Kuzma after his big game on Tuesday. I think he's a really good play once again, especially since the price tag didn't move. And Dinwiddie, on the other hand, not as good of a game from him. Dinwiddie was a big disappointment in Tuesday's slate. Shot the ball terribly, 2 for 9. Still did contribute with 9 assists and 7 rebounds to go along with just 7 points. Dinwiddie, again, he's been really productive without Beal this year. I know Tuesday's game was not great for Dinwiddie, but we've seen in the past him have really big games whenever Beal's been out. His usage just goes way up. He has the ball in his hands more. His assist numbers are way up without Bradley Beal. I think at 5,800, Dinwiddie, I mean, he's still way too cheap today. Even though he busted on Tuesday, I'm going to be going right back to Dinwiddie. I think, once again, he's a really good play on both sides. In DFS, you kind of have to have short memory. You can't dwell on the past. You can't dwell on what happened the night before. Even though Dinwiddie was a disappointment Tuesday, I'm probably going to play him again on Wednesday's slate just because he's still a good play, even though he didn't do that well Tuesday. And then with the bigs, so we do want to talk about, so Thomas Bryant did get injured in Tuesday's game, did not return. They've already said it's unlikely that he plays today. So I think with Thomas Bryant unlikely to play, we'll probably see the center minutes split between Montrezl Harrell and Daniel Gafford. Now, this is a pretty bad matchup against Joel Embiid. This is obviously a spot where you could see maybe some foul trouble for guys like Gafford and Harrell. But I do want to mention that Daniel Gafford is only 3,100. I'm guessing he will start at center and probably play like 20 to 22 minutes. I think he's a decent value play on the slate, even though it's a tough matchup against Embiid, even though there is a lot of foul trouble risk. He has really struggled against Embiid this year. He's really struggled with fouls. You look, he's played an average of 15 minutes through 2 games against the Sixers, and he's averaged 4.5 fouls in those 15 minutes. So there's obviously a lot of foul trouble risk here, but I think at 3,100, with how low of a price tag this is for Gafford, with the possibility or the expectancy, or with him expected to be back in the starting lineup, I think Gafford's a pretty decent value play at only 3,100. I do have some interest in him. I think Harrell probably plays like 22, 24 minutes, and at 4,400, I think he's an okay value play as well. Since Bryant is expected to be out, I think that does make Harrell and Gafford both look a little bit more appealing. But that's it for the Washington side. Now looking at Philadelphia, so Embiid expected back today after resting last game. I mean, at 12K, really expensive, but I think Embiid's still a pretty good pay-up option on this slate. The Wizards have never been a good defensive team against bigs. Embiid should be able to dominate in this matchup. We saw Giannis go nuts against the Wizards on Tuesday. I think we could see a similar performance from Embiid here. I think Embiid has a ton of upside. I don't think Gafford or Harrell are going to be able to slow him down. I think Embiid's a pretty strong pay-up option. The rest of Philadelphia, though, I'm not too excited about. Harris and Maxey and all these other guys kind of got priced up for when Embiid was out last game, so they're basically priced to a point where I don't think they're that appealing. It's really just Embiid for me from the Sixers. So next game, Charlotte and Boston. Charlotte, a team I don't have too much interest in here. Tough matchup against Boston. They will most likely be getting Kelly Oubre back today. Kelly Oubre's been out for, I think, the last week or so. But he should be expected back today. He's already been listed probable. So with Oubre back, that does cut down the minutes upside a little bit for guys like LaMelo, Bridges, Rozier. Probably cuts down the minutes a little bit for guys like Washington and Martin. Given the tough matchup, given the price tags on these guys, I don't think there's a ton that stands out from Boston. LaMelo always has upside, but at 9,500, you're kind of paying the premium for him. I think Terry Rozier at 7,300 looks kind of appealing. Revenge game for him against the Celtics. He's played really well against the Celtics. He played really well against them earlier this season. Like, I think Rozier is fine at 7,300. He's kind of been struggling lately, but I'm okay going to him on this slate. Outside of that, I don't really see too much I like from Charlotte today. And then on Boston, it's a really good matchup here for the Celtics. Charlotte so far this season, they've been playing really fast. Their defense has been improving lately, but I still think overall the matchup's pretty good for guys like Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's just that the price points for Tatum and Brown, they don't really stand out at these price tags. I think Tatum at 10-6, like you're kind of overpaying for Tatum right now. Tatum can obviously put up a massive game any night, but does he really project well at this salary? I mean, not really. Jaylen Brown, I think at 8,700, given the price savings, I think I would take Brown over Tatum if I had to pick one of the two. I think Tatum's ceiling is a little bit higher than Brown, but I think Brown, just has just as high of a floor. We've seen somewhat of a low floor on Tatum this season. We've seen some really disappointing games from him. He's got 60-plus point upside. Jaylen Brown can go for 50-plus any night. The matchup's really good. Like, I think Brown at 8,700 is a viable option. He's probably my favorite play from Boston if I had to play anyone on this team. It's a good spot for Robert Williams, but at 7,200, I don't really like him at that price tag. Smart, Horford, Schroeder, I'm not going to. So that's really it from Boston. We can move on to the next game and talk about Memphis and New York. So looking at Memphis today, the Grizzlies, John Morant as a tournament option, I'm okay with. I don't love the matchup against the Knicks. The Knicks have been playing at a pretty slow pace this season, one of the slower paces in the league. In terms of defensive rating, defensively, I think they've kind of been improving. They haven't been as good defensively this year as they were last season, but they've been improving on the defensive end. Again, they play really, really slow. I don't think it's that good of a spot for Ja, but, narrative going into the Garden, I think this is a national TV game. Like, if you want to play Ja, it's okay, but on a 9-game slate with other pay-up options, I don't think Ja really stands out as like a top option for me. Desmond Bane at 7-1, like I think you're kind of overpaying for Desmond Bane right now. He did have a great game last game. I think, this matchup actually is pretty solid. The Knicks defensively against, three-point shooters have really struggled this year. I know I've heard other people talk about it as well, that the Knicks have really struggled like closing out on three-pointers, closing out on three-point shooters. They've allowed a lot of open threes this year. So kind of like a sneaky good spot for Desmond Bane, but still at 7,100. Like, I don't think he really stands out at this price point. I do want to mention that Steven Adams is questionable. This is actually pretty important news because Steven Adams, when he was out earlier this season, we saw Jaren Jackson Jr. start at center in the games that Steven Adams was out, and he played really, really well in those games. He's been really productive as the center this year. When he's gotten center minutes, he has posted some massive games. So I think if Steven Adams gets ruled out, Jaren Jackson Jr. will be a pretty appealing play at 6,900. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I think there's a lot of upside for Triple J if Adams doesn't play. And then, we'll have to see who would start in place of Adams if he got ruled out. They probably would start like, I don't know, maybe Conchar or maybe Anderson. Whoever starts could maybe be viable for value, but I think that's it for Memphis. We can go ahead and move on to the other side of this game and talk about the Knicks. Looking at the Knicks today, I mean, there really isn't much that stands out here. Julius Randle has been god-awful as of late. At 9K, I mean, he's going to be super, super low owned. If you want to take a dart throw in tournaments, I think it's okay, but don't love Julius Randle. Don't really like Barrett that much at 7,100. Barrett's, shown some upside, but he's also shown a really low floor. If he plays well, he can get big minutes, but I don't think he stands out. Same with guys like Alec Burks and Fournier. Like, I just think the Knicks are probably one of the least appealing teams on this slate. There isn't much I really like here. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game. So next game, Cleveland and Houston. Really, really good spot here for Cleveland going up against the Rockets. Rockets so far this season have been playing at one of the fastest paces in the league. In terms of defensive rating, I mean, they've not been good defensively either. They've been, bottom of the league, actually dead last in defensive rating this season. So I think it's a really good spot for guys like Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. At their price points, does one stand out head and shoulders above the other? I don't think so. I think Allen at 7,700 is a viable option just because I think, if this game's close, he's going to play 35, 36 minutes, and with how good the matchup is, he has 45, 50-point upside here. Same could be said for Mobley. Mobley hasn't shown as high of a ceiling as Allen, but been very consistent, has a pretty high floor. I don't mind going him either. Kevin Love at 7K, I'm not that interested in. Do want to talk about Cedi Osman, though. So Cedi Osman did start last game in place of Darius Garland, and Darius Garland is out once again. So I'd expect they start Cedi Osman again at 4,600. Like, I think he's a pretty good value play on the slate, and he's really, really cheap on Yahoo, so I like him quite a bit over there. If you want to play him on Yahoo, he's only $12 at the small forward position. Again, the matchup's really good. Cleveland been playing pretty slow this year, but Houston plays really fast, so it's a big-time pace-up spot. And we saw last game, with Osman in the starting lineup, he played huge minutes. 38 minutes, had 27 Draftkings points, and he shot freaking terribly. 3 for 16 from the field, 0 for 7 from 3. he still scored 27 DK points. He was able to contribute with 12 assists. He had the ball in his hands a lot in that game. Like, I think without Garland on the floor, like, Cedi Osman might be kind of like the point guard whenever he's on the floor. Obviously, they have Rondo, they have Brandon Goodwin off the bench, but I think Cedi Osman's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. I think he's going to play big minutes if it's a close game. I like him quite a bit on this slate as a value option. You know, if you want to go to Rondo, I think it's okay. For some reason, Rondo only played 18 minutes last game. Like, he had been getting 18, 20 minutes when Garland was healthy, and then Garland gets ruled out, and he doesn't even see a minutes increase. It's kind of weird. Brandon Goodwin did play a lot off the bench last game. He played 27 minutes. Does Brandon Goodwin play 27 minutes again? I don't know. Like, I don't think so. He shot the ball really well last game. I think we can most likely assume that the 27 minutes Goodwin played last game probably come down a little bit, and you see more minutes for Rondo. So I think between Goodwin and Rondo, I would probably just play Rondo, especially if people are going to chase that Goodwin game. I think Rondo as a punt option for 3,200 is definitely viable on this slate with Garland out again, and that's probably it from Cleveland. So looking at the other side of this game and talking about Houston, you know, I don't see too much I really like on Houston today. It's a tough spot. Cleveland's been really good defensively. They play really slow. You know, Christian Wood on this slate, I don't think really stands out. Same with Kevin Porter Jr. I mean, Houston, they're up there with the Knicks in terms of like least appealing teams on this slate. Like, I just don't really see much I like from the Rockets today. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about OKC and Dallas. So looking at OKC, SGA once again going to be out for OKC. So you know, guys like Giddey and Dort, I think, do offer more upside than normal with SGA off the floor. Giddey was really chalky last slate and was pretty disappointing. Only had 36 Draftkings points, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Played 33 minutes. Like, I think I'd be fine going back to Giddey today. Price tag went up a little bit, but still, without SGA, his upside is much, much higher. He had a massive triple-double last time these teams played. I do believe that the SGA was out that game, if I remember correctly. It was on the 17th of January, 32 minutes, let's see. I thought he had a big triple-double against, I might be wrong. Yeah, so is on January the 2nd, 36 minutes for Giddey and 66 Draftkings points. I'm pretty sure that SGA was out that game. So whenever SGA is off the floor, Giddey's kind of like the point guard. He's the primary ball handler. His upside is just much higher. He gets more usage. He's probably my favorite play from OKC. Dort at 6,500. I mean, I think he's still viable. I think his upside's also higher without SGA off the floor. But now that his price has come up to where it's come up to, like, I'm not as high on Dort. The rest of OKC, like the value guys, Trey Mann, Wiggins, I don't think really stand out. 24 minutes last game from Trey Mann. Wiggins did start last game, played 28 minutes. Like, these guys are okay values, but normally when it comes to value from OKC, I don't really get too excited just because OKC does run a really tight rotation, or really deep rotation, excuse me. They play a lot of guys. You never really know how the minutes are going to get spread out outside of like the main guys. We know Giddey's going to play big minutes. We know Dort's going to play big minutes. I mean, outside of those two, it's kind of just, throwing darts with the rest of these OKC guys. So that's probably it from the Thunder. Now, looking at Dallas today, Luka at 11.6, I think is a pretty solid pay-up option here. No Porzingis once again for Dallas. Luka's numbers without Porzingis, like, I don't think they've actually improved at all. I think he's actually been a little bit worse without Porzingis on the floor. But still, you would have to think, he's just going to get massive, massive usage here. The ball's going to be in his hands so much. We know Luka's got massive upside every night. Matchup against OKC, I'm not too worried about. He's probably going to be guarded by Dort, but I don't think Dort's going to be able to slow down Luka. Luka's basically, he's unguardable at this point. He's matchup proof. I think Luka's a very good pay-up option today if you want to go that route. I think Brunson, without Tim Hardaway and Porzingis, does offer a little bit more upside. He played 35 minutes last game, was not that productive, but I think he does play big minutes here. I think his upside's much higher with those two guys out, so I'm okay with Brunson, even at 6,400. Like, I think he's playable. Maxi Kleber probably starts again. He played 27 minutes last game, was not that productive. Kleber's never been a great point per minute player, but he probably will start here and play like 30 minutes. So at 4,100, we'll have to wait and see what other value we get as the day goes on, but I think Kleber as a value option is okay. And that's probably it from Dallas. I think that's everything I really like here. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about Brooklyn and Sacramento. So Brooklyn today, it is a back-to-back for Brooklyn. James Harden was on the injury report Tuesday, ultimately wound up playing. I think they've already said that they expect him to play for today's game. So, Harden on this slate, does he really stand out at 11-2? I don't think so. Obviously, without KD, there's much more upside for guys like Harden and Kyrie. But at their price tags, 11-2 for Harden, 10-1 for Kyrie. I don't think either one are like priority spend-ups for me. They're both viable. It's a good matchup against Sacramento, but I don't think they're like my favorite studs. I'd rather be going to Luka, to Jokic. We're going to talk about, some guys in the Lakers game that I like. So not a ton I love from Brooklyn. The rest of Brooklyn, Patty Mills, Nicholas Claxton, these guys are just not that appealing. If I was playing any Nets today, it would be the main guys, Harden and Kyrie. But even them, they don't stand out to me at their price points. And then on the Sacramento side, got to watch the injury news here with De'Aaron Fox. He's currently questionable. I think Fox has been out for like the last 5 or 6 games. With him out, we kind of know who benefits. It's going to be Halliburton. It's going to be Davion Mitchell. Last game, Halliburton was kind of disappointing. Played 35 minutes, only had 34 DraftKings points. We have seen a big ceiling from Halliburton whenever Fox is out. So I think if Fox does remain out, I'm fine going to Halliburton even at 8,500. I think Davion Mitchell would be viable too. He's been playing big minutes as a starter. He's been starting in place of Fox. The last 3 games that he has started, he's played 31, 33, and 34 minutes. And has put up 29, 32, and 32 DraftKings points in those games. So 4,900 for Davion Mitchell. They're going to want him out there guarding Harden and Kyrie. I think he's a pretty good value play today if De'Aaron Fox is out again. If Fox plays, then I don't see much I really like from Sacramento. I think Sacramento we could probably just avoid on this slate if Fox is in, just because everyone at their price points, there's not too much I love from this Kings team. It's going to definitely depend on the status of De'Aaron Fox. But next game, we'll talk about Denver and Utah. So Denver, another team on a back-to-back today. They got blown out Tuesday by Minnesota, so I would expect Jokic probably plays here even on a back-to-back, even though he played 30 minutes, but obviously that's not normal for Jokic. Normally he plays way more than that. But again, they got blown out. Jokic was still really good, though. Even in 3 quarters, he had 54 DraftKings points. Would have had a massive game had the game stay close, and he played in the 4th quarter. Going up against Utah here, I don't think this is actually that bad of a spot for Jokic because Rudy Gobert is going to be out once again, and they're probably going to run out like Hassan Whiteside or, I don't even know. I think Whiteside's actually questionable right now. So, if Whiteside gets ruled out, they might start Rudy Gay at center or Norvell Pell, or I don't even know if Norvell Pell's still on the team. I don't really know who they have that they would run out there. Maybe Azubuike. We saw last time these teams played, Azubuike actually started center and guarded Jokic. So it's a really, really good spot for Jokic. Without Gobert, I think he should be able to dominate this Utah team. If this game can stay close, I think Jokic will play 35, 36 minutes, and we've just seen how good Jokic has been this season. So Jokic is for sure a strong pay-up option. The rest of Denver, Aaron Gordon, Will Barton, Monte Morris, I just don't have much interest in these guys. I think Jokic is the one guy that really stands out from the Nuggets, and that's probably it for me. And then on the Utah side, Utah, I don't think they really look that appealing today. Obviously, Gobert and Mitchell are still out, but the price tags have kind of adjusted for that. Conley is $7K, so it's not like we're getting much of a big discount on Conley. He's still pretty expensive. I think he's priced where he should be. Jordan Clarkson, $6,400. I think he's priced where he should be. He'll probably play 30 minutes off the bench. Does offer some upside, but again, at $6,400, I don't think he really stands out. Hassan Whiteside, if he plays, probably plays 30-plus minutes. They're going to need him out there to guard Jokic because I don't know who else they're going to put on Jokic if Whiteside isn't out there. It's a tough matchup against Jokic, but we know Whiteside does offer big-time upside. He's always been a pretty good point-per-minute player. So, if Whiteside plays today, he might be my favorite guy to go to from Utah. But Utah's a team I don't really have much interest in today. They're not a team that I think, there's not much that really stands out here. I think we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night. So, Portland and the Lakers. This is a pretty good one, pretty appealing game. 2, pretty fast-paced teams, 2 bad defensive teams as well. Starting off on the Portland side, we kind of know the main guys here. CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic, Anthony Simons, Norman Powell, Robert Covington. Those 5 guys, the 5 starters, they're all going to play pretty big minutes if this game is close. I think CJ McCollum, the price tag's starting to come up. He's 8,100 now. The matchup is really good, though, against the Lakers, and obviously without Damian Lillard, the upside is much higher for CJ McCollum. We saw CJ McCollum get up to 39 minutes last game against OKC, so he should play really big minutes here if the game's close. I think CJ's viable. Anthony Simons, though, given how his price tag has come down compared to CJ's price has come up, Simons has come down. I think Simons might actually be the guy I prefer just because I think most nights Simons and McCollum are going to project pretty similarly. And when Simons is so much cheaper than McCollum, I think I'd rather go to Simons. I think it's a really good matchup for both CJ and Simons. But given the price difference, I think Simons at 6,500 looks pretty appealing here. Against this Lakers team that plays fast, that doesn't play much defense, I think it's a really good spot for Anthony Simons. I do like him quite a bit on this Portland team. I think Yusuf Nurkic is a fine option as well at 8K. Don't love the matchup against AD, but Nurkic has been a great point-per-minute player this year when he's gotten minutes. For what it's worth, he dominated against the Lakers earlier this year. He put up 46 DraftKings points in only 21 minutes against them. pretty sure last time these teams played, it was like a big-time blowout. I think Portland like beat the crap out of them. I think Nurkic in tournaments makes some sense if you want to go there. Norman Powell, I don't even mind. He should play 35, 36 minutes if this is a close game. I think he's kind of priced where he should be, but at least viable. Covington at 5,400, I'm not that interested in, but he should play big minutes if it's a close game. Really, though, I think CJ, Nurkic, and Simons, especially Simons, I like a lot at his price point. I think all three of those guys are firmly in play, in a really good matchup here. And then on the Lakers side, so LeBron not expected to play today. He is doubtful. We got a report that he should be out probably 2 or 3 more games. I think they said he's going to be out a few more games. So with LeBron expected to be out, I mean, we should expect a ton of upside, a ton of minutes, and monster usage for Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis, since he's come back from injury, he's been really, really good. The 2 games he's played, 34 and 38 minutes and 59 and 44 DraftKings points. I think going up against Portland here, this is a pretty good spot for AD. Nurkic is not a guy I get too worried about on the defensive end. I think AD is a guy that, when AD's aggressive, when he's dominant like he was in that Sixers game, I mean, he can show massive upside. I mean, AD is a guy that he's just got to be aggressive. Kind of similar to Westbrook. We've seen Westbrook have big games this year when he's been aggressive. He was great in that Hornets game on Friday night. Played 37 minutes, had 48 DraftKings points. He was really aggressive that game, was driving to the basket. AD was really aggressive in the Sixers game, was taking a ton of shots, was shooting the ball really well, was driving to the basket as well. I think the upside for both Westbrook and AD, it's there with LeBron off the floor, just because these are going to be the 2 guys really, dominating the usage, taking most of the shots. Westbrook, as of late, has actually been really good. The last 2 games, 48 and 49 DraftKings points. Westbrook, we kind of know the deal with him. He's going to turn the ball over a lot, but he's got upside. When he's knocking down shots, he'll keep taking them. When he's driving to the basket, that's when he's really got the upside that we want. When he's aggressive, when Westbrook's settling for threes and he's just taking mid-range shots, that's not his game. He's at his game. He's at his best when he's driving to the basket, dunking on guys. That's when Westbrook is, that's when we're getting peak Westbrook. He's obviously gonna get rebounds. He's gonna get assists. He's going to contribute outside of scoring. At 9,400, I think Westbrook's a pretty good play today. I don't know how much ownership he really gets. I'll be interested to see what his projection is and what his ownership projection is. But I do like Westbrook quite a bit on this slate. I think the matchup against Portland's really good. Should be a fast-paced game. I'm not worried about Portland's defense at all. Without LeBron, Westbrook we've seen have really good games in the past whenever LeBron's been out. So I think Westbrook looks pretty solid on both sides. I definitely like him on Yahoo. If you play over on Yahoo, he's very affordable over there. He's only $35 at point guard, so I think you could definitely play Westbrook on Yahoo as well. I do like him and AD quite a bit on this slate. I think Malik Monk is fine as well. Malik Monk's coming off a massive game. He shot the ball really well, had 33 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 57 DraftKings points last game for Malik Monk. Price has come up a little bit, but if this game's close, I think Malik Monk plays upper 30s in minutes, and the matchup's really good. Again, it should be a fast-paced game, so I definitely think Malik Monk's in play if you want to go there. And the rest of the Lakers, THT, Carmelo, Stanley Johnson, I don't think I'd be going to these guys. I think it's really just the top 3, AD, Westbrook, Monk. Those are the 3 guys that really stand out from the Lakers today. And that's it, guys. That's it for this Wednesday slate. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, please do hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. You can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer, make some picks for Wednesday's NBA games. Just make sure when you sign up, use code NOAH, and they'll give you that deposit bonus when you do sign up. And if you guys want my favorite plays on PrizePicks each day, along with the entries I'm playing myself, you can get those all available on Patreon. Link down below in the description. Check that out if you are interested. But good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.